Let's look at another point. Then we'll now go into the details of the agreement. The Western Region election crisis of 1965 was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Politicians in the two blocs in the Western Region employed different tactics to outdo themselves, resulting in killings and destructions of properties. The action group felt at the time that Akintola in connivance with the federal government rigged the 1965 election. So action group supporters took to the street, leading to clashes that cost lives. That event is popularly known as Operation Wetie. When action group members attacked supporters of Akintola, thousands were killed in Yoruba land. That was in 1965. That Operation Wetie crisis raged till the 15th of January 1966, when the military struck in a bloody coup. The young officers made their intentions known in the speech that Nzogu read to the nation. Let's look at what Nzogu said. Our enemies are the political profiteers, the swindlers, the men in high and low places that seek bribes and demand 10%, those that seek to keep the country divided permanently so that they can remain in office as ministers or VIPs, the tribalists, nepotists, those that make the country look big for nothing before the international circles, those that have corrupted our society by their words and deeds. That was Nzogu's Coup broadcast of 1966. The coup took the lives of the premier of the northern region, Ahmadu Bello, took the life of the premier of the western region, Ladoke Akintola. The coupists eliminated the prime minister and head of government, Tafawa Balewa, his minister of finance, Okotiebo, and sub-top military officers from the north and Yoruba land were taken out. At this point, Nigeria was on the path of self-destruction. Major General Aguiyi Ironsi, the most senior army officer at the time, stepped in to rescue the situation. And that marked the beginning of the long road to military governance in Nigeria. It is of note to state here that Nigeria did not pioneer military governance in Africa. As at 1952, Colonel Gamal Abdel Nasser overthrew the monarchy of Egypt, led by King Farouk. On January 13, 1963, former president of Togo, Sylvanus Olympio, was assassinated, and the Nasigbe and Yadima assumed the reign of power. Benin Republic tasted its first coup in 1965, while the Central Africa Republic and Burkina Faso all had their military coups. And those coups came before 1966. The Pan-Africanist, the charismatic and powerful Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, learnt a bitter lesson from the plotters that ousted his government in 1966 in Ghana. Though Nkrumah was not killed, he was forced out of the country. That military leader that removed Nkrumah as the president of Ghana, Joseph Ankara, was the same man who brokered peace between Gowon and Ojukwu in Aburi. The mayhem in northern Nigeria after the January coup was pursued with unceasing brutality, leading to the death of Igbo sons and daughters. The killings continued after the counter-coup of the same year, led by some northern officers. What has Yakubu Gowon got to say about the coup? Here he explains the coup, or the coups, of 1966. The program is State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
The coup was in two places, one in Lagos, then another one in Kaduna. I was very busy with the security activity. The political side of it was being taken by the General Officer Commanding, General Ironsi, and some other senior officers. And when they came back, I remember they told me that the acting president had, and the rank of parliament had told the general officer commanding to take charge until he can restore discipline and loyalty in the Nigerian armed forces. And so I asked the officers that were with him, I said, is that so? I asked 3 times. And they said, yes, that is what it is. So at that stage, I said to the general, you have my double loyalty. My thought of saying to return the status quo now would not apply, because my senior GOC and now my new head of state had been given that authority to become the new head of state and commander-in-chief. So he is now my commander-in-chief, head of state and commander-in-chief. And so that was how the military came to take over the first military regime that we had. The next 6 months was a very difficult period. It was a period of anxiety because of what had happened, the coup that took place in Lagos and in Kaduna. And we did everything in order to hold back any reaction. But unfortunately, that reaction could not be stopped any further. And at the end of July, we had another crisis, which cost the life of the general officer commanding, because of so much mistrust among the cross-section of the army officers, especially on regional basis, the north and the south. The question of trust, because of the loss of many officers that were so dear to the men and women in the armed forces. These young officers decided, we do not want anyone to give us leadership, but me.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Yes, Yakubu Gowon there. I hope you are enjoying the class. Let me get your feedback. Look at this work. You see this work? The Nigerian Century. You see this work? It's a big book, The Nigerian Century. I recommend this book to you, The Nigerian Century. It will prepare you for the future. It will give you values and orientations of the future. The Nigerian Century captures the essence of Nigeria, her people, her power, and the creative energy that engineers her colorful and sometimes turbulent history. From the era of Lord Lugard through the oftentimes bloody anti-colonial struggle to the heady days of the immediate post-independence era and the uncertain dark days of the Civil War, this is a book that delineates Nigeria's history and captures the pulsating essence and immediacy of past events. Get your copy on udarabooks.com. And you can also get this book through the WhatsApp numbers pinned to this broadcast. Those same numbers you can call, they are Udara Books numbers. So you can get this book and expand your history and political horizon and get inspired by the mistakes of the past and the successes of the past. Yes, there were successes of the past and there were mistakes of the past. So I recommend this book to you. It's a big book. Another book that falls into the same category as this one is this book, Nigeria, the Birth of Africa's Greatest Country. You see it? Nigeria, the Birth of Africa's Greatest Country. You know, here you will read about some of the articles written by Obafemi Awolowo. You see, there's one article here, Nnamdi Azikiwe faces inquiry. The big race for self-government. You know what books like this do to you? They take you very close to the past and then project you into the future. You now become a solution finder. This is one of the best publications that studies post and pre-independence. It chronicles the socio-political events of colonial and immediate post-colonial Nigeria as recorded by the most popular magazine then, the Drum magazine. It talks about the diverse and turbulent events and the numerous complex characters who occupied the central stage in the epic drama that was the evolution of the Nigerian state. So this work parade an array of political stars. Adegoke Adelabu, have you heard of that man? Festus Okotebo, he was killed in the January 1966 coup. Are you a lover of communication? Have you read any of the works of Mbonu Ojike? Akintola is studied in this work. Michael Okpara, Tafawa Balewa, you want to read about him? You'll find it here. Anthony Nahuru, and the larger-than-life trio of Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Ahmadu Bello. The beauty of this work is that you have Volume 1 and Volume 2. You can see them here. Volume 1 and 2 together. Big book of history, politics, and power. You see them? Get your own copy on udarabooks.com. Reading opens the mind. Read and continue to read. Nigeria, the Birth of Africa's Greatest Country. You'll find it on udarabooks.com. So get your copies there.